It is the kind of place where every detail emanates an air of considerable expense, of meticulous control, of strict exclusivity, and for the vast majority of people, it is undeniably imposing. However, for him, this is merely an ordinary day until it abruptly ceases to be, because prior to him even reaching the threshold, a hand thrusts forward, intercepting his path, bringing him to an abrupt standstill. Halt. The voice is sharp, distinctly unwelcoming. The gentleman pauses, his gaze slowly ascending. Confronting him is hotel security. He appears to be in his mid-40s, arms crossed, his expression already set, devoid of curiosity or neutrality, radiating judgment from the very first instant. "You are not permitted to enter there," the guard states. The gentleman blinks faintly, a flicker of bewilderment, yet he remains composed. "I beg your pardon?" "I repeat, you are not permitted to enter." The gentleman's eyes drift past the guard. Guests continue to proceed inside without impediment. No one else is halted. No one else is questioned. Only him. "Is there an issue?" the gentleman inquires. The guard inches closer, lowering his voice but not the stridency of his tone. "Indeed there is." He gestures towards the gentleman. "This is not precisely a suitable environment for you." The atmosphere becomes palpable with tension. The gentleman scrutinizes the guard. "Pardon me?" The guard offers a shrug. "You would be well advised to seek an alternative destination." "On what grounds do you base that assertion?" the gentleman asks. The guard smirks. "Come now, we are both fully aware." A hush descends. Onlookers begin to decelerate their pace, observing, listening, because there is something profoundly unsettling about this interaction. The gentleman maintains a steady vocal cadence. "No, we are not." "Then enlighten me." The guard exhales, already exhibiting impatience. "Look, I am endeavoring to assist you." "Assist me?" "Precisely, before you find yourself in an embarrassing situation." The words register, but the gentleman outwardly displays no reaction. "I am not embarrassed," he states calmly. "You ought to be," the guard retorts. "And why, pray, tell?" He leans in slightly. "This is an establishment of considerable luxury." "I am cognizant of that fact." "Then conduct yourself accordingly." "I am." "No," the guard insists. "You are not." A few individuals now come to a complete stop. A mobile device is raised, initiating a recording, because at this juncture, the situation has transcended the ordinary. "This is entirely illogical," the gentleman declares. "I simply need to go inside." The guard shakes his head. "No, that is not happening." "And what precisely is the reason for that?" the gentleman probes. The guard hesitates, then articulates his statement, flatly, clearly. "You do not belong in this place." The pronouncement lands with a distinct weight, more profound, more resonant, even without any vocal amplification. The gentleman's expression tightens almost imperceptibly. "My designation is—" "I have no concern for your designation," the guard interjects. "You are not gaining admission." The gentleman observes him with renewed intensity. "You are making an error in judgment." The guard emits a brief, dismissive laugh. "I have encountered this scenario before." "Encountered what?" "Individuals of your disposition attempting to enter establishments such as this." And there it is, the crucial pivot, the statement that irrevocably alters the dynamic. "Individuals of my disposition?" the gentleman questions. The guard nods affirmatively. "Yes, your kind." A woman in the vicinity of the entrance pauses, her phone held aloft. The gentleman draws a deliberate breath. "You must exercise caution with your pronouncements." The guard scoffs. "Oh, please, cease this pretense of victimhood." "I am requesting an explanation from you." The guard folds his arms. "My reasoning is quite straightforward. This establishment adheres to certain standards, and you do not meet them." The words hang heavily, creating an atmosphere of discomfort. The gentleman glances briefly at his suit, then looks back up. "And which particular standard?" "Precisely." The guard does not falter. "All of them." A low murmur begins to circulate through the assembled onlookers because now everyone comprehends the true nature of the situation. The gentleman's voice lowers. "You are engaging in discriminatory profiling." "No," the guard snaps. "I am performing my duties." "No," the gentleman counters calmly. "You are making unfounded assumptions." The guard advances once more, visibly irritated. "I am preempting a potential disturbance." "What sort of disturbance?" The guard leans in, his voice a low murmur. "The kind where you enter this premises and begin appropriating items that do not belong to you." A few onlookers emit quiet gasps. The gentleman's eyes narrow slightly. "My intention is not to abscond with anything." "That is the predictable assertion from your group." The words strike with considerable force, crude, unfiltered, and now any pretense of normalcy or any possibility of misunderstanding has vanished. The gentleman remains motionless, allowing the gravity of the moment to settle, permitting the recording devices to capture every detail. Then the guard adds, "You genuinely expect me to believe that an establishment of this nature would be the possession of people like you?" The ensuing silence is immediate and absolute. It is undeniable. This is not about adherence to rules. This is not about established policy. This concerns something far more fundamental. Before we delve further, please comment with the country from which you are viewing this. Let us ascertain the global reach of this documentary. Because what is unfolding at this hotel entrance presently is not merely a simple miscommunication. It is the precise moment when assumptions transmute into accusations and a gentleman is being denied entry, not due to his identity, but rather due to the preconceived notions of another. And the security operative standing before him remains entirely oblivious to the fact that the individual he has just deemed unsuitable is in fact the proprietor of the entire establishment. And in the ensuing moments, everything is poised to undergo a radical transformation. The guard retreats a step, but solely to adjust his stance. He continues to obstruct the entrance, positioning himself between the gentleman and the doorway. "You are required to depart," he states with firm conviction. "I am not departing," the gentleman replies. "Then you will not be entering." "That is not a determination for you to make." The guard chuckles again. "It is, as of today." An increasing number of people are now observing, their mobile devices held aloft. The situation is escalating. "I shall pose this query one final time," the guard declares. "Turn around and withdraw." The gentleman does not move. "I am here on official business." "No, you are here creating a disturbance." "I have committed no transgression." "You are doing so at this very moment." The prevailing tension intensifies, becoming more palpable, more precarious. The gentleman takes a step forward. Not an aggressive movement, merely a subtle advance. The guard reacts instantaneously, raising a hand, halting him once more. "Do not proceed." "I have no intention of engaging in an argument with you," the gentleman asserts. "Then cease your pretense of belonging here." The words strike with equal force. The gentleman meets his gaze directly. "I do belong here." The guard leans in imperceptibly, his voice now carrying a distinct chill. "You do not." Another pause ensues, followed by, "You are ill-suited for an environment like this." That specific term, unfit, it resonates differently. It feels personal, deliberate, crafted with the sole intention of humiliation. The assembled crowd reacts anew. More hushed exchanges, more phones being raised. The situation has escalated beyond acceptable limits. And the gentleman, maintaining his composure, remaining steadfast, standing as though privy to knowledge that eludes the guard. Because he is. And in the very next instant, everything is about to shift dramatically. But the guard, he is not yet finished. Far from it. And his subsequent statement will propel this encounter beyond any possibility of resolution. The glass doors slide open with a smooth, silent motion, but the alteration they signify is anything but understated. A man in a sharp suit emerges swiftly from within, mid-50s, impeccably dressed, wearing an earpiece, exuding an aura of authority in every movement. He displays no confusion, no hesitation, only focus and directness. His gaze immediately locks onto the unfolding scene: the guard, the gathering crowd, the recording devices, and the gentleman standing before him. And every trace of emotion vanishes from his countenance. "Sir," the word is uttered rapidly, with deference, with urgency. The guard frowns, perplexed. "Hold on," he states, stepping slightly forward again. "Sir, you cannot move." The tone is measured, yet definitive, the kind of voice that requires no repetition. The guard hesitates for a mere second. "Are you aware of the situation transpiring here?" he inquires. The suited gentleman does not even acknowledge him. His attention remains fixed on the gentleman before him. "Yes." That single utterance alters the entire context. The guard blinks. "You are?" A brief pause, then. "And you are the source of the problem." The pronouncement is immediate, weighty. The crowd reacts with instant alacrity. Whispers ripple through the onlookers. Phones are raised higher. The guard stiffens. "What?" The suited gentleman finally turns his head. He looks directly at the guard. His expression is cold, measured. "You obstructed him?" "Yes," the guard replies, now adopting a defensive posture. "I was performing my duties." "No," the suited gentleman refutes. "You were not." The guard's jaw tightens. "He does not belong here." And that is when it occurs. The suited gentleman's expression hardens, not with confusion nor surprise, but with clear, sharp recognition. "You just uttered that statement?" he asks. "Yes," the guard confirms, confident even at this juncture. "I informed him." "You informed him that he does not belong here?" the suited gentleman interjects. The guard nods. "Precisely." A pause. Then the suited gentleman steps aside, clearing the entryway entirely. He gestures towards the entrance, not towards the crowd, nor anyone else, but directly at the gentleman. "Sir," he says respectfully, "you may proceed inside." The guard freezes. The gentleman does not yet move. He simply observes, because now the paradigm has begun to shift, and it is precisely as he anticipated. "What precisely are you doing?" the guard inquires. "I just informed him that he is not permitted entry." "And I am informing you," the suited gentleman replies calmly, "that he is." "No, no, he is not. You are not authorized to countermand my decision." The suited gentleman regards him anew. He truly looks at him this time. "Do you perceive this to be about you?" he asks. The guard frowns. "This is my assigned post. I dictate who enters and departs." Another pause. The suited gentleman utters a statement that lands with the impact of a physical blow. "You do not." The crowd leans in expectantly. Everything is on the verge of a dramatic reversal. The guard laughs nervously. "Look, I have no idea who you believe yourself to be." "That," the suited gentleman replies, "is precisely the issue." The guard's self-assurance begins to waver, albeit slightly, but the change is perceptible. "What are you implying?" he asks. The suited gentleman steps closer, lowering his voice, ensuring it is still clearly audible. "Do you possess any awareness of the individual you have just detained?" The guard hesitates and shakes his head. "No." The suited gentleman gives a single decisive nod. He turns back towards the gentleman, straightening his posture, and speaks with unmistakable clarity, loud enough for all to apprehend. "Welcome back, sir." The words strike with a different resonance. They carry a significant weight, a loaded implication. There is no room for misinterpretation. The guard's countenance undergoes a transformation, bewilderment gradually giving way to realization, a slow, uncomfortable dawning. "What? What do you mean? Welcome back?" he inquires. The suited gentleman offers no direct reply. Instead, he gestures once more towards the entrance. "Your suite is prepared. The meeting has been awaiting your arrival." The crowd reacts instantaneously. Whispers erupt, gasps are heard, and phones tilt closer, zooming in. The narrative is unfolding. "No, that does not compute." The gentleman finally speaks, his tone calm and controlled. "You ought to have verified." The identical phraseology, but now it carries an entirely new significance. The guard stares at him, truly observing him this time, not with judgment, not with assumption, but with an attempt to comprehend, to process. "Verified what?" he asks again. The gentleman reaches into his jacket, retrieves his wallet, opens it fully for examination, and holds it up. Not hastily, not aggressively, but sufficiently for all to see. The suited gentleman shifts slightly, affording the guard an unobstructed view. And this time there is no ambiguity, no doubt, no misinterpretation. Because what is contained within that wallet is official, undeniable. Proof of ownership, executive credentials, the name, the position, the authority. The guard's eyes widen, his mouth opens slightly, but no sound emerges. Every statement he made, every assumption he harbored, every conviction he held, is now collapsing in real time. "You expect me to believe," the gentleman interrupts him. His voice is quiet. "You have already articulated your beliefs." The guard steps backward, a single pace, but it is significant enough to reveal his loss of composure. "You are." "You are the owner?" he asks. The gentleman does not hasten his reply. He does not raise his voice. He does not alter his tone. He simply states, "Yes." That is all. One word, but it carries more impact than anything previously uttered. The crowd reacts, their voices now louder, because the truth is out, entirely, completely, and unavoidably. The suited gentleman nods with respect. "This entire property," he adds, "belongs to him." The guard shakes his head again, still struggling to process the information. "I was unaware." "That," the gentleman replies, "is the crux of the issue. You were unaware. And you made no effort to ascertain." The guard glances downward briefly, then looks back up. His entire demeanor has changed. The self-assurance has evaporated, replaced by something else. Genuine regret. "I was merely performing my duties," he asserts. The gentleman tilts his head slightly. "You were engaging in profiling." There is no room for argument, no possibility of denial, no avenue for escape. The cameras have meticulously recorded everything. The words spoken, the tone adopted, the assumptions made, the humiliation inflicted, all of it. The suited gentleman steps forward again, his voice now firm. "Sir, would you prefer that we address this matter immediately?" The question hangs in the air. This is no longer solely about the immediate incident. It concerns tangible consequences. The gentleman casts one final look at the guard, then at the entrance, and then at the crowd. Phones remain raised, recording, watching, awaiting. Then he quietly states, "Yes." A brief pause. "We will. And if you're finding this documentary engaging so far, please consider liking and subscribing. Because what transpires next is not merely about who was in the right at this hotel entrance. It is about the ramifications when power, truth, and accountability finally converge. The ensuing silence feels different, no longer tense, but final. The kind of silence that follows the irrefutable landing of truth. The guard stands immobile, frozen in place, as there's no longer any ground to defend, no position to maintain. Every assumption, every word spoken now lies exposed before him. The suited manager turns slightly, initiating action with professional efficiency. "Security control, this is the front entrance," he states into his radio. His tone is calm, but resolute. "I require a supervisor at the main doors." The guard looks up, his eyes widening slightly. "Wait, hold on," he interjects quickly. But it is too late. The call has already been placed. And now, this is no longer an issue that can be easily dismissed. A few seconds elapse, but they feel elongated as everyone watches intently. The crowd remains in place, capturing every second. The gentleman, the owner, adjusts his jacket slightly, composed and unfazed, as if this is merely another routine situation he has encountered before. But his eyes remain sharp, keenly aware, because this is not solely about him. It is about the event that has just transpired and its implications. The guard finally speaks again, his voice lower now, less certain. "I was unaware," he reiterates. The owner regards him calmly. But you made assumptions. That statement carries more weight than any other because it is undeniably true. No shouting, no anger, just the unvarnished truth, which makes it even more potent. The glass doors open once more. This time, 2 additional staff members emerge, a supervisor and another security officer. Both are alert and serious. What is occurring? The supervisor inquires. But before anyone else can respond, the manager speaks. This security officer denied entry to the proprietor of this establishment. The words register immediately, direct and leaving no room for ambiguity. The supervisor's head snaps around, his gaze shifting from the guard to the owner and then back again. Are you serious? He asks quietly. Yes. The supervisor exhales slowly, then steps forward. Sir, he says respectfully to the owner, I apologize. The owner nods once, acknowledging the apology, but not dismissing the severity of the situation, because at this point, an apology is insufficient. The supervisor turns back to the guard. What precisely transpired? He asks, his gaze sweeping across the crowd, the cameras, and the gentleman before returning to his supervisor. I believed... He stops himself, because even he recognizes the weakness of that statement. I believed, he attempts again, that he did not belong here. The supervisor's expression hardens. You believed. The same word, but now it carries the weight of responsibility and consequences. You failed to verify any information, the supervisor questions. You did not request identification? The guard shakes his head slowly. No. You did not report this incident? Another shake of the head. The supervisor exhales again, a longer sigh this time, then states quietly, Step aside. The guard does not move immediately, as if his body has not yet registered the unfolding events. Now, the supervisor adds. The guard finally steps back. For the first time since the confrontation began, he is no longer blocking the doorway. The path is now clear. The owner looks towards the entrance, then steps forward, his movement slow and controlled, without haste, without acknowledgement of the crowd or the cameras, simply moving forward. As he passes the guard, he pauses for a brief moment, not turning fully, but enough to be noticed. You stated that I did not belong here, he says quietly. The guard remains silent. You claimed I was unfit. Still no response. The owner nods slightly, then concludes his thought. This establishment exists because of me. The words are simple, but absolute, leaving no room for further debate or discussion. He proceeds past the guard, through the doors, and into the hotel, the space that has always been his domain. The crowd reacts instantly. Whispers, murmurs, a few individuals shaking their heads. One person remarks, he actually said, you're kind. Another adds, this is going to be all over the news. Phones are lowered slightly, but not switched off, as the story transcends the immediate moment. The supervisor turns back to the guard, his voice firm and controlled. You are finished for today. Surrender your badge. The words land with immediate effect. What? No, wait, he begins, but the supervisor does not engage in an argument or offer an explanation. You will be contacted by human resources. The guard's face contorts, panic replacing denial. Sir, please, he pleads. I was merely attempting to... Stop. One word, firm and final. You were not performing your duties. The guard swallows hard. The reality is sinking in. I did not intend... It is inconsequential what you intended, the supervisor retorts. What matters is what you did. Silence descends again, heavy with implication. The guard looks around at the assembled individuals, at the cameras, at the place he moments ago commanded. He is no longer in control of anything. The second security officer steps forward, gently but firmly guiding him aside, not aggressively, but with clear intent. It is over. The supervisor adjusts his jacket, then turns back towards the entrance, his composure returning, control re-established. Because the hotel's operations continue. Guests proceed to enter and exit. Valet services resume. Doors open and close as if nothing extraordinary has occurred. But something significant has, and everyone is acutely aware of it, having learned a harsh lesson about the fallibility of their perceptions. Inside, the owner walks across the marble floor, staff standing straighter as he passes, their eyes following him, not with curiosity, but with respect. The truth has settled, and the lesson is clear, not proclaimed loudly, not inscribed anywhere, but universally understood. Assumptions carry consequences. Bias leads to repercussions. And the instant you categorize an individual without any prior knowledge of them, that is the moment when everything can unravel. Outside, the crowd gradually disperses, their phones still buzzing, videos already being uploaded, because the events that transpired here are not remaining confined. They are spreading rapidly, and somewhere, that same guard who stood so confidently, so assuredly at the doorway, is now sitting alone, replaying every word he uttered, every assumption he made, every moment he believed himself to be correct, realizing, far too late, one critical fact. He did not merely prevent a gentleman from entering a hotel, he jeopardized his own future. Because here is the truly pertinent question. Had the cameras not been present, had no recording been made, would anything have changed, or would he have evaded accountability? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Was this merely the execution of his duty, or a clear instance of profiling? And be candid, would you have intervened or remained a silent observer? The conclusion.